I have for sale a 1980 Yamaha Special 850. It is an XS model. It is the 3-cylinder. It's very similar to the XS850, which was also a 3-cylinder. Pretty nice bike overall. It's pretty clean. You can see the tank itself. The paint is still really good on it. The side panels. The chrome is pretty decent. It's a little dirty right now. I was riding it yesterday. But the chrome itself is pretty decent on it. There's some little bit of weird pitting in it, but overall not bad. I would say overall condition is good. It's a 42-year-old bike, so gonna have a few issues here and there probably. It is a good solid bike. It runs very well. It is shaft drive. It has dual disc up front, single in the rear. These are single caliper pistons up front. They're adequate. They do the job. Everything is functioning as far as brakes. When I got it, somebody had peeled all the baffling out of the exhaust, and I repacked it, and then some of it blew out the ends of it. It was unbearably loud. It was obnoxiously, unbearably loud. Like, you might like loud bikes, but it was just, it was horrible. So it sounds much better now that it has the baffles in it. It has a Travelcade rear seat on it, and it looks like it's skewed to the side, but what happens is that the mounting mechanism, somebody wasn't sure how to manipulate it to open it, and it got all jacked up. It's not terrible. It just looks a little off. It doesn't take away from the way it functions or anything. It's actually a pretty comfortable seat. Like I said, I went 87 miles yesterday, and it was a pretty comfortable ride. It has a total of 21,232 miles on it. It has aftermarket mirrors on it. These are obviously not factory. Everything works. This blinker started screwing up on me. It quit working. I thought the bulb was burnt out. I replaced the bulb and it didn't fix it. So I'm guessing that it came loose in here. It could be something else, but the back one comes on. So to me, that kind of indicates something just with this, which my next guess would be in there, and I'll probably get to it within the next couple days. Fresh oil change, and I have changed the clutch discs in it. I changed the friction plates and the steels, and put it all back together since I got it, because they were totally worn out. So all of that functions, and other than that one blinker that's not currently working, all the lights work. Here, I'll flip it on. Well, the headlight doesn't come on until you start it. You can see the blinker, front, rear, tail lights on. The blinker comes on this side, but not in the front, or on the back, but the front's not on. Doesn't light up. Brake lights. Foot brake. Handbrake. All that's working. Has fairly new petcocks on it. It's a weird one that has ones on each side. So this is the walk around, and I'm gonna go do a ride video, because I think what's happening, I've not had a lot of interest in this bike, and it's a pretty nice bike in my opinion, and it does have a little bit of carburetor issue, and a lot of people are scared of that, but it really is not affecting the overall function of the bike as a whole. Like I said, I rode it yesterday, 87 miles, and it worked really great. We ended up riding in the rain, and it was fine. And I will explain that in the ride video. So I'm gonna go get my gear on, and then I will continue this as a ride video. All right, let me show you under the seat and what I'm talking about here before we get going too far. Maybe. That's just the helmet lock, isn't it? This lever right here needs to be pushed, and it's supposed to push both of them, but it doesn't. So you've got to reach up in here and pull the lever on the bike itself, which is this one. And you see how it gets twisted up there, see? So you got to reach up and do this because it doesn't release the other side like it's supposed to. Because at some point somebody messed up the rod going to the other side. You can see it's all pried out. Not the end of the world. The other thing is that whoever I bought it from, somebody at some point, took the main fuse box out and they put these in. They did a really good job. They are, what do you call that? Heat shrinked in with nice spade style fuses. The problem with this is you don't really know which one is which. So easy enough to figure out, but I've not had a problem with it, so haven't done anything with it. This is a fairly new AGM battery. I believe it was purchased about a year ago. So the underside of the seat really doesn't look all that bad either. There. Sometimes it can be a little hard to start. I've had a little trouble getting it to start yesterday because it hasn't been running a while. Today it might start better because it ran for a while yesterday. The lever broke off of the choke, so it's a little tricky. And it's always been just a little on the cold-blooded side. Once it gets rolling, it does pretty good. It's got a pretty nice rumble to it with that baffling in there. I'm telling you what, you take that baffling out and it is unbearable. I don't know how somebody could think that that was a good sound. I like a loud exhaust as much as the next person, but it has to have a good sound to it as well, right? That's got a good sound right there. Give it another minute or so to warm up. It's got a little bit of backfiring going on. Once I get rolling, I'll talk about what I think is kind of going on. So it's idling right now, 1,000 RPMs. I think that could be adjusted because when I was out riding yesterday, it kind of wanted to drop off. So there's maybe a little bit of adjustment there. And that's what I mean by tweaking. I don't mean it needs something major. I think it just needs some minor tweaking and fine-tuning, which I just don't have the knowledge to do. So I want you to focus on what's going on in the gauges. I can hear it in the motor, but I don't think that the mic is picking up what's going on with the motor. So as I get rolling, I'm going to start talking about what's going on. As you can see, it rolls just fine. It's, you know, I'm doing 40 miles an hour and a 30 mile an hour range, and it's not coughing, sputtering. It's not doing any of that right now. It does it when you roll on for a little more than half throttle. You start getting about half throttle on a hard roll on, and that's when it starts to cut out. And then once it gets to 6,000 RPMs, it takes off. Like, oh, the blinker's working now. Look at there. Once it gets to 6,000 RPMs, it takes right off like it's supposed to. It did it just a little bit right there. I got into it just a little bit too much and it started coughing. But all the way up through here, I'm rolling on maybe a quarter throttle, maybe a little bit more, between a quarter and a half. You see it starts to cut out and sputter. When I hit about just over 4,000 RPMs and about half throttle. And here's why I think it's carburetor issues. I was having some issues with these leaking. The bowls were sticking, or the floats were sticking, and I had messed with them. And I have a buddy who was like, "Oh, let me take a look at them." I was like, "All right, you gotta know better than I do." So I let him take them, and he did a real good job. He replaced a lot of the seals and the O-rings and stuff like that. And when I got it back is when it started doing this. It never used to do that sputter. It didn't give me a lot of confidence in taking it back to him to work on. I'm sure if I took the bike to him, he could figure it out, but I just didn't have a lot of confidence in it at that point. So I'm doing 60, no problem, right? Got up to speed, and if you're easy on the throttle, that's the way it's gonna go. I rode yesterday 87 miles, and I never felt it sputter once because I was riding pretty easy. Wasn't cracking that throttle. I'm going to show you up here what's going on once we get past the stop sign. And I want you to really focus on the gauges because I don't think you can hear it. Once it gets to about 4,000 RPMs, I'm going to roll on pretty hard. And you can see that my speed's not moving and my RPMs are not moving. Let me get rolling a little bit. I don't have my regular riding boots on. I miss second gear on this thing every single time. I was getting pretty good yesterday, but all right, I'm doing 50. I'm at 4,000 RPMs. I'm gonna roll on hard. It's cutting out really bad. You can see my speed's kind of going up. My RPMs are up to 5,500. I shift and it's still sputtering. My speed was gaining. Just a little bit, but this thing, I'm telling you, is a rocket when it's hitting right. It's just not hitting right. Normal, everyday riding, not a problem. Seriously, I've been riding a different bike, and once I rode this yesterday, I was like, you know what, I should really ride this every day this week, just because I don't think it's gotten a lot of miles on it this week, or this year. I think he put, I let my son-in-law use it, and he did quite a few miles with it yesterday, not yesterday, last year, but he hasn't had the time to do it this year, so maybe I go that way because I'm going to crack this thing open. So I want to show you what it does at over 6,000 RPMs. And you watch the tach and you watch the speedometer because we're going to open this thing up. Never went under 6,000 RPMs and it never missed a beat. And it moves. This thing is fast. My buddy rides a XS850 and he's like, I doubt that. And I'm like, I think you'd be surprised. He's never ridden it, and I've never ridden his, so I don't know, maybe comparatively it's not all that fast, but in my opinion, that's moving. Over 6,000, like if I was to try to pass this guy, I would do this, get my RPMs up right around 5,500, and off we go. So the issue with the carburetor, yes, there's an issue with it. Is it disabling to the bike? Does it make the ride not fun? Not really. It's still a very rideable bike at this point with the I'll call it an issue, with the issue that it's having with the carburetor. And it might not be the carburetor, it might be something else. My speculation is the carburetor because it started doing it after I had some carb work done on it. So, I don't know. But that backfiring is not normal either, and it shouldn't be doing that. I kind of don't want to turn because that car turned and he's far enough ahead. Alright, hang on. Quarter throttle till it is 6,000. Do you hear that kick in?
Close to 100 on that one. For as long as it takes that needle to come off at 85. I had a 140 mile an hour speedometer, but it didn't work. I was going to put on it. It didn't work right, so I couldn't use it. But I don't want you to be scared of the carburetor issues. Know that they're there. I'm just trying to be transparent with all of that. Not trying to sell you a lemon. It has some issues and it could run better. It used to run hard like that all the way up. You know, if you were at 4,000 RPMs, you'd roll on the throttle and off you'd go. Right now though, you've got to get it up in the RPMs. All right, watch. I'm going to do a slow roll. I'm going to do a slow roll on. Get a little bit of acceleration, but it's not catching the way it should. In that 4,000 to 5,500 RPM range, it's not there. It's sputtering, and I don't think you can hear it. But does it affect the rideability of it? No. You don't need to crack the throttle more than halfway when you're doing a normal takeoff. Not with this bike. I'm going to go a little bit further. I'm going to ride it more normal. I guess normal in my sense of normal. That was the road that I should have took to take a normal ride. That's alright. Plenty of long, flat, straight stretches of road around in Michigan. Running 60 miles an hour, no problem. You know, quarter throttle or so, runs just fine. And that's the way I rode yesterday. I was doing 55, 60. We went from Auburn to St. Louis, down Pine River Road, and then come back up 46 to River Road in Shields. And it ran just fine. The only time it quit when we were north of Freeland, Smith's Crossing on River Road, and it was just downpour. And go up to a stop sign and it quit. I don't know why it restarted right off. So. Nice smooth bike. It's a big enough bike that it's smooth. These handlebars are actually from a GL 1100 Goldwing. I think I still have the original. They're more of a, I call them pullback. Some people call them buckhorn style. My son-in-law hated them. I hate them. So we put these on there, and they're a little bit on the big side, a little bit on the wide side, but they're okay. But like I said, I'm pretty sure I still have the originals. So if you were interested in going back to the 80s or the 70s or wherever that style came from. Rolling up to a stop sign, we're just idling. Check traffic, nothing's coming, off we go. Miss second gear like I do every single time. That? That's an interesting contraption. Completely took my focus. I was supposed to be focusing on how smooth this is, just driving regular, and I'm just driving regular right now. I'm glad I fixed that blinker. All that popping going on. I don't know if you can hear it, but caught a little bit of it on that. I was a little bit hard on the accelerator, a little bit hard on the throttle. Started popping, but we're doing 60. And it's really smooth with that exception. I've kind of adjusted myself, I guess, once I start hearing it to roll off just a little bit. It'd be nice if I knew how to fix the problem and then I wouldn't have to do that. 60 miles an hour, never sputtered once. And I wasn't under hard acceleration because then it'll start sputtering. And I wasn't going super slow. I was getting up to speed without any problem if you watch the speedometer. I'll point it out this next one. We got a half mile up here to the stop sign. I'll point that out again. Alright, watch the speedometer. Doing 60 miles an hour, and that is way less than a quarter of a mile. So it doesn't have any problem getting up to speed. If you're cracking the throttle though, and I'll do that on the next one, I'll crack the throttle and show you how it stumbles and falls all over itself again. But if you adjust the ride just a little bit, if you adjust your riding style just a little bit, it runs just fine. And it'll run great until you get that fixed. Or don't fix it. I might ride it all week. We'll see. Alright, I'm going to crack hard on it, listen to what it does. Watch the speedometer. I gained speed. It was sputtering really bad. But it wasn't like it was not gaining speed. It just didn't sound very good. And once it hits that magic 6,000 RPMs, I don't know what the deal is with that, but yikes, hang on. So I started at 87, I'm at 102, or 101 right now, almost 102. It'll be 105 probably by the time I get home. So 17 miles, just like that. It never stalled. I didn't break down. Shouldn't say that, I'm not home yet. We took off yesterday and my wife's like, are you sure you want to take that bike? I was like, yeah, I know how to ride it. Nice and easy. Doing 60, and it never sputtered, and I didn't miss second that time. So it can be done. It is a good running bike, It's not perfect. But don't be afraid of it when it says it has carb issues. It's very, very drivable the way it is. Very rideable the way it is. From an idle. Moderate acceleration. And we're doing pretty good. I'm going through residential now, so there will be no hard acceleration. Caught just a little bit of it right there. I just put new plugs in it. I said, bring it over. Missed second again. There, I'm doing 45 and a 30. There you have it. The seat has some issues right here, but other than that, the cover's in pretty good shape. It'll last for a few years for sure. So it's not an ill-running piece of garbage. It's a pretty good running machine that just needs a little bit of fine-tuning on these things to get it where it needs to be, to get it where it's not going to have that hesitation in that lower RPM and that 4,000, 5,500 range. It wakes right up after 6,000 RPMs, but if you drive it moderately with moderate acceleration, you get up to speed no problem, and it holds its speed, and you never even feel that. I don't think my son-in-law ever felt it, because I don't think he ever cracked the throttle that far. So I think it's a nice bike. I think it's worth my asking price. If you want to come ride it, make sure you got your endorsement, or bring someone who has their endorsement. I cannot let you on this bike if you don't have your endorsement. I don't care how many years you've ridden. It's just the way it is. If you're super interested, let me know. You know, I have my price marked, and that's what I really want for it. I'm not going to come off that too much, but special case, I might make a deal. So, you know, we just did what I say. That's 104. So about 15 miles. Trouble free. Really a pretty nice bike. Not perfect. Needs a little fine tuning. Think of it like that. It's just fine tuning. It's not a major overhaul. The tires are still in pretty good shape. The brakes all work. There you have it. If you're interested, hit me up. If you're looking at this through Marketplace, hit me up on Marketplace. If you're on YouTube and you find this and you're interested, I'm in mid-Michigan. And leave a comment or try to find me on Facebook. Get a hold of me through Marketplace, or get a hold of me through Facebook Messenger at 650 Cycle.
I would love to pass this on to someone who's going to enjoy it. It's a great bike. I really like riding it. I think I'm going to ride it all week, as long as the weather permits. What more can I say? 1980 Yamaha Special 850. It's an XS.